And I remember that day I was at the hospital. My dad was comatose. They had doped him up so much because of the pain and stuff.
Yeah.
When they walked him through that door that night, I had my daddy. He was talking. Wow. He was so normal. It was freakish. Yeah. I don't know what it was. He was like, Lubba, who won the game tonight? Lubba, I want some oatmeal. Lubba. And I'm like, because I'm like, I just left you in the hospital hours ago and you were comatose.
Right, and
you were doped up.
And then
Parenting Up, Caregiving Adventures with Comedian Day Smiles is the intense journey of unexpectedly being fully responsible for my mama. For over a decade, I've been chipping away at the unknown, advocating for her, and pushing Alzheimer's awareness on anyone and anything with a heartbeat. Spoiler alert, I started comedy because this shit is so heavy, so be ready for the jokes. Caregiver newbies, OGs, and village members just willing to prop up a caregiver, you are in the right place.
Hi, this is Zeddy. I hope you enjoy my daughter's podcast. Is that okay?
Today's supporter shout out, I am Bill Tubman. What a beautiful way to share space between caregiver and the one she cares for. As terrible as this disease is, the way it is manifesting here between these two is special in its way. Emoji face with heart eyes. Wow! Thank you. Ooh, that's special. If you want to be the next episode's supporter shout out, leave a review. Leave a review, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Instagram. The Comedians Care Series, Coco Brown on Coast to Coast Caregiving.
Parenting Up family, we in for something special, and this is a what? Boom, cut, let's go. No, cut and go. We're going to do all of it together. Listen. Woo! Might go to WNBA. Today, we have none other than the one and only Coco Brown. It's an A on that Coco, too. Coco. And if you don't do it, baby, it's Coco. Okay? Now, we know her from a bunch of Tyler Perry stuff. We know her from 911, her own comedy special.
Famous enough.
Famous enough. I can't tell you how many times I watched that thing.
Oh, really?
I watched it, and because as a comedian who absolutely looks up to you and adores you, I was breaking down 3-minute segments and 5-minute segments. Like, how did she transition to this and then get that bit? And I was like, yeah, that's tight. So we're going to get even more into what Coco has going on now and what's going to be coming up. But it's the Parenting Up podcast. So we're here talking about being comedians who are also caregivers. Yeah. And so often, caregivers don't get enough public shine. You just, there's an expectation, or shall I say family caregivers. Let me clarify that. There's the expectation that you got to be an LPN, a nurse, a RN, or you went to school for it. But then it's people like me and Coco where your folks get sick, and you got to figure it out. And while the most of the world say, "Oh, but you're so good at being funny, I'm sure you could just make everybody laugh and it's easy."
Ain't nothing funny.
Ain't nothing funny when it's your people.
You have to find the humor in it, but that initial first year, it was hard. It was hard to be given those diagnoses with the two people that you loved first.
Let everyone know who you cared for. Okay. The order. And I know a little bit of the background. But I don't want to get to you were doing double duty.
Yeah.
Which is another whole thing. I'm caring for my mom, but only my mom. And you're a mother. So we're talking about the sandwich generation, which I speak on a lot. When you mentally and emotionally and physically, you've got to do something for someone younger than you,
Yeah.
and then your elders.
Yeah, and when that elder becomes your child too.
Yes.
They don't talk about that. 2020, my father was diagnosed with early onset dementia. 2021, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 adrenal kidney failure, stage 5 COPD, and breast cancer.
Okay, hold up. I ain't even. Did anybody know that you could have 5 stages? I thought stuff stopped at 4 stages. Real talk.
No.
I never heard of
I didn't know
a
that
5
either.
stages.
I didn't know either. Well, basically, it was when stage 4 is usually what they say. Stage 4, I think they give you that maybe because it's a sliver of hope.
Okay.
But stage 5 is ain't nothing we can do. And you just got to make them as comfortable as humanly possible. It's almost like being told they're going to hospice as soon as they get
I got you.
they get the diagnosis. Because I had never heard of a stage 5 before.
Right.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
But I guess that's how her doctor wanted to prepare me for the, news. And it happened fast. I mean, I literally found out what was going on. My dad had suffered already with diabetes, and his diabetes was bad. Like my father's pancreas did not work.
Okay.
Without insulin, my father would die,
Period.
like within hours.
Oh, wow.
Because his pancreas had no function. So he was on literally anywhere from 5 to 8 shots a day.
Oof.
If he breathed food or anything with sugar in it, he had to give himself a shot. It was crazy watching that. My mom's diagnosis was so out of nowhere.
So she was healthy?
She was fine. But I do believe a very traumatic incident in our family threw my mom into a tailspin of illness. Because when that happened, that's when everything started going haywire, where it was one diagnosis after another with my mother. And prior to that traumatic experience that happened in our family, mom was fine. And she tried to deny it. She tried to go, oh, it's this, it's that. She was trying to get, self-diagnosed. And then she finally decided to figure out what it was. My mother was having this issue where she was swelling constantly and puffing up. Like her face would puff up out of nowhere. Like her eyes would swell up. It just, and it kept happening. And they thought it was an allergic reaction. Okay. What it was, her kidneys were not processing. Her kidneys were shutting down. And she had no idea. And that came from years and years and years of my mother having high blood pressure and never having that addressed. That it killed her, it tore up her kidneys. I see now, because, I lived in LA for 12 years and I was in LA. I was, rooted and booted in LA. Right. And after my divorce, I was coming back and forth to film with Tyler when I was on For Better or Worse. Mm-hmm. And I ended up buying some property here in Atlanta, not thinking I was going to have to move. But I moved a couple of years before everything went down.
1 second. That's what you call success? When you buy some property in Atlanta, but you also still live in LA? Goals.
That's called putting your money in brick and mortar, because Uncle Sam will rape you. Anyway, Uncle Sam will get you if you ain't got nothing. Okay. And I moved here calling myself going to heal from my divorce and regroup and go back to LA. But then my parents got sick. And then it got to a point that I realized they did not have their affairs in order as I thought they did. My parents did not have wills. My parents did not have medical, power of attorney. My parents didn't have burial plots. They had nothing.
Now, Coco, along the way, had they been telling you, don't worry, we got this?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All of it's in order.
And in the file cabinet. In the file cabinet.
In the closet.
Right. I mean, my mom had a little plastic container with a handle and a latch
That's
on
right.
it. And she said, all the important papers are in here. So I always knew that. But, all these years, my brother and I, we had to laugh about it after the fact, but our parents drilled in us, get your affairs in order, handle your business, don't be out here slipping. And then we were like, but you didn't. But what? I had to get wills, power of attorney, durable medical power of attorney, and conservatorship all at the same time before my dad's dementia really kicked in.
Right.
Because he had just had a stroke and he had lost some of his memory. But they said with the dementia, it might be rapid, it might be slow. They didn't know. So I knew while he was in his right mind, I had a very small window to make sure that I got medical power of attorneys and I got wills done.
Now this, you said 2020 and 2021. So
Yeah.
this is, the pandemic is raging.
Yeah.
And the medical world is saying, hey, you don't even come to the hospital or call your doctor or call 911
My mom was having to go to dialysis in full-blown COVID.
unless you are on the edge.
Right.
So you're dealing with two parents on the edge and all this
right.
stuff.
My father's home going through his situation. My mom's going out every day in full-blown COVID to get dialysis. This is one of those situations that I will never question God and what he can do.
Okay.
Because I couldn't get to them to be there physically, but ever so often because of the pandemic. I was able to hire a nurse to go and take care of my parents. And to this day, I don't know where I got 11 grand a month from. To this day, I don't know. I don't know. But I was writing
Nor
that
do
check.
you probably care.
And
At
I don't
this
care.
point,
I don't
you
care. But somehow during the pandemic and after the pandemic, up until 22 when my mother passed away, I literally
He go 11 grand. Teach take care of my parents.
like seriously, I don't know where it came from, but somehow it always miraculously popped up. I was able to write those checks every week to make sure that that nurse was there taking care of my parents, feeding my parents, cooking for my parents, taking my parents to doctor's appointments, keeping me abreast of what's going on. I mean, I still don't know how that happened.
That's right.
But God did it,
That's
and
right.
I didn't skip a beat in my own household.
You know it wasn't you.
Right, I know it wasn't
That's
me.
the point.
No,
You know
it wasn't me.
you.
No, it wasn't me because it was a full-blown pandemic, and most of I started a couple of businesses that were very lucrative during the pandemic, but I was also still trying to tell jokes online and on Zoom and all that.
And you were doing very good at that, and everybody started laughing.
I had something,
Yeah.
But somehow I was able to continue to write those checks. And then when the pandemic was over, I was able to go back to work, and God bless me. At one point, I was on 5 TV shows at the same time. I was reoccurring on 5 TV shows.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I was reoccurring on 5 TV shows.
All right, young folks.
I was able to go to LA, work, get tested, be on mask on set, get to my parents, I became a million miler on Delta flying back and forth to Virginia.
I know that's right.
Because I was having to go so much because Daddy's dementia started kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
And he started forgetting people, forgetting things. We had to hide his car keys because he'd come home and a whole side view mirror be going and he don't know where it went.
Okay. Yes. Well, you know what, Dad? We got an idea. That the mirror didn't just fall off.
Yeah.
You probably hit something. So what? Give us the keys.
Like, running joke was me and my brother would say, go check the bottom of the car, make sure ain't nobody under there. Because we didn't know what Daddy had done. You go check. No, you go check, But
what were the signs? Because with the Parenting Up community, there are a lot of people, Coco, who follow us, who are new to the community, and they are caregivers, kinda. They still stopping by Mama's house on Sunday,
right? Checking
after
on
church,
once a
to check on her once a week.
Yeah.
They might see something slipping, but they don't know. Is this just old age? Do I need to get involved?
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you said? You know what? No, this is not just some regular old age. I got to get in this. Me, my brother, somebody.
Yeah.
We got to get a nurse right now.
I realized that my parents, even though they were one of those old school parents, that they refused to leave their home. Their home was their pride and joy.
That was
they
my
were
granddaddy.
not leaving. I offered
right.
to put them in an assisted living community, one of those like really nice high rises for people 55 and up. Let's sell the house. Let's do this and put the money from the house in a trust, and that pays your rent. And I'm
Trust, you better talk it.
No, trust me.
Yeah.
Okay, look, y'all better learn. Okay, and they just refused to leave the house. And then I realized, my mom was like, well, why don't you come home? Well, Mommy, I can't give up my career.
Right.
Because if I come home and I do this 24/7, how am I going to pay for you?
Right.
You guys are living on a fixed budget on your retirement.
Did that click with them? Did they follow you?
Daddy,
kinda?
yes. Well, see, Daddy was different. If Daddy had known I was doing a third of what I was doing, he would have lost his mind. I had to hide everything I was doing from my dad. Like, no joke, he found out that I had a subscription for his Depends, and he went ballistic because I was paying for his Depends. So if he had known that I was paying for this nurse and paying for this,
Right.
he'd have lost it.
Okay.
Mom, on the other hand, we need more. we need more.
So Coco,
well, why don't you come home? You know,
since you over there doing all that
Right.
working, come on, send us some
no
more.
disrespect, love you, mommy, but it was never enough. It was
That's
always
right,
something
yeah.
more, you know.
Yeah.
And I was always going above, trying to be that good daughter, like, okay. And it was situations where, you know, it caused a divide between me and my brother.
Really?
Because I was doing way more than him.
Okay.
But I also understood he was in a position that he had a wife and kids.
Okay.
And he had to keep a happy home.
Okay.
And he couldn't do but so much without taking away from his wife and kids. And that was a double entendre for him. Where me, it was like, once I realized the situation he was in of not being able to do as much as he wanted to do because certain individuals didn't want to change their lifestyle to accommodate what needed to be done.
Okay, certain individuals.
Let's just keep it 100.
Picking it up.
Certain
Got
individuals didn't want to change
I
their
have
lifestyle.
certain individuals in my family too. Is that on the
Right.
other, like black, white,
Yeah.
Asian, certain individuals? That's a new box to
Yeah.
check.
Didn't want to
Yeah.
change the lifestyle
Yeah.
to accommodate my brother helping me. And it almost caused a serious divide between me and my brother. But when we finally, it was literally after my mom passed, because daddy passed first and mommy, that we had a conversation and I had to accept and understand the position he was in.
Okay.
I had no one to answer to. So everything I did, unless my kid, and my kid at the time understood the assignment. I've been blessed with a very mature kid that gets stuff. And he knew that I had to take care of grandma and papa.
Right. You have one child.
I have one
right?
child. I have
Right.
one child. And during the time he was like 9, 10, you know, and he kind of got it because he didn't see anything missing in his life. Even though I was taking from us and trying to replenish it to, like he didn't know because I made sure he didn't know that, okay, we may not be able to go to Disney this year, but let's go to Six Flags.
That's right. What we still gonna do is be on some rides.
Right,
We're gonna get some cotton candy and we're gonna be outside.
We're gonna be outside. We might
That's
just
right.
be able to go and stay in Florida for a week, you know.
Listen,
And he
black
didn't
women
care
make it
'cause-
work.
But it was one of those things that I begin to see Daddy when Dad couldn't remember certain things, and Dad's personality began to change. My father was a very distinct man.
Okay.
Like his personality was very distinct. Quiet man, a few words, but when he spoke, you stopped. That man will drop a gem on you, and you be like, and then he go right back to watching Andy
I
Griffith
love
like
those.
he wasn't even there.
I love those.
You know
kind
what I'm
of
saying?
people.
My dad he would just be sitting there talking, you know what, love bug? And he would drop something and he'd go right back to watching, you know, Texas Walker Ranger.
That's right.
Like
That's
you weren't
And
even
your
there,
whole
you know.
week just got shifted off that one phrase.
Like, what? And then when when I saw his personality changing, where Daddy started being way more talkative, that was the sign to me. Because my dad was
Now,
not
see,
a
that's
he
when
was
you
not
really
a
got to know
chatterbox.
people. Listen, parenting up community, we're going to take just a sneak of a button on that. That is what comes with being a family caregiver
Yeah.
with somebody who's been locked in.
Yeah.
Because someone who didn't talk a lot, who now is just talking more, a doctor or someone in the hospital wouldn't say, well, what's wrong? That's not anything.
No.
But you're like, oh, what's wrong? That ain't my daddy.
That ain't my
That's
daddy.
not how my
ain't
daddy
my pop.
is.
Me and my dad could sit in that Florida room. He'd be in his favorite lazy boy. I'd be sitting on the love seat, and we'd be watching old shows like Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
You know, and you know,
Cartwright.
and it'd be silence. It's like me and my father had a relationship that we could have silent conversations. I always say that.
Okay, that's
me,
scary.
Me and my father, we
That's
could literally
very
be sitting.
scary.
I mean, like seriously, we could be sitting in a room watching something, and we could laugh at the same time. And he'd look at me, and I look at him, and like, You know what I'm saying? And it's like we knew like that was crazy or whatever.
Yeah.
So when my father became a chatterbox, and then it was to the point that he wasn't making sense.
Okay.
That was the like, okay, wait, Dad is talking way more and he's not making sense. That's when I knew the dementia was kicking in. When he would be like, call. I'm like, call who, Daddy? Call the woman down the hall, your wife. you know, and it got to a point. I literally made a joke about this that towards the end, my dad's dementia had gotten to the point that he thought I was his wife. I'm Love Bug. I'm Farrah, you know.
And he's
he'd be like,
like,
baby, sweetie. And I know he called my mama baby and sweetie. He called me Love Bug.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Only Farrah when he was like seriously like mad at me. Like,
very not happy.
Yeah, not happy.
Yeah.
And so, but I remember, how God is so good. when they brought my dad home, when they said there was nothing more that they could do, and we put him in hospice, and he had mentioned to me before he got sick that he wanted to be in his own home. He didn't want to be in nobody's hospital or cold, and I promised him that, and we set up my brother's old bedroom, for the hospice people and all that. And I remember that day I was at the hospital. My dad was comatose. They had doped him up so much because of the pain and stuff.
Yeah.
When they walked him through that door that night, I had my daddy. He was talking. Wow. He was so normal. It was freakish. Yeah. I don't know what it was. He was like, Lubba, who won the game tonight? Lubba, I want some oatmeal. Lubba. And I'm like, because I just left you in the hospital hours ago and you were comatose.
Right, and
you
frozen.
were doped up.
And then
you're coming through the door. The guys are bringing him through. Lubba, hey, Lubba. And I'll never forget, I said, I thank God for this every day. I had not heard my daddy say he loved me in a while because of the dementia and everything. And I'll never forget, I was in there and Daddy was just talking. It's nice. I like it because I had, hooked the room up,
Right.
the hospital bed was
Of
in there, his
course.
TV, all the stuff.
Some stuff from home, like a blanket, something like that.
He was home. He was home.
Yeah,
He was at our childhood home. He was just in my brother's room.
Right.
And
That's right.
I remember I was talking to him. I said, "You want some oatmeal, Daddy?" Yeah, I want some oatmeal. My dad loved oatmeal. And I'm like, okay. I said, "You want peanut butter in it?" Because my dad would put a scoop of peanut butter in his. It was crazy.
I'm going to have to try that.
He would put a scoop of peanut butter.
I eat oatmeal.
Right.
I never heard about putting
My dad would put a
butter.
scoop of peanut butter in his oatmeal.
Let me tell you
My
something.
dad cooked some very strange things for us when we were growing up, you know.
I'm gonna try
And
it.
I remember saying, okay, and I was walking out the room and I said, okay, Poppy, I'm gonna go get it. And I said, I love you, Pop. He goes, I love you back, little bug. I had not heard those words. I had not heard those words in so long. And I remember I just froze. And I looked back at him and I said, God, I love you. I love you back, little bug. By the time I went to the kitchen and came back with his oatmeal, he was back to being comatose. And when I asked the hospice nurse, what the hell was that? She said, it's called rallies.
Yeah.
It's called rallies.
Yep.
I didn't know anything about rallies.
Yep.
And
I learned about them the hard way, much like what you just described.
Yes. It's like God gives them one more chance.
To tell the people they want to goodbye.
Yes.
Say something sweet.
Yes.
But for him to call you love bug.
Right, which is what he always called me.
Whatever, the peanut butter and the oatmeal, whatever that exchange was, that let you know this is my daddy talking
I literally
to me.
have a video of me feeding my father like a baby because he couldn't feed himself anymore. Yeah. And I'm doing airplanes with my father.
Airplane.
You know what I'm saying? And he's looking like a little baby laying there. And to hear him say, I love you back, love bug. I hadn't heard that in so long. He would go into these moments. Like I
What
know
did
he was.
you do? Like in that
moment.
moment.
I froze and just was like, and I kind of looked back at him and he was just kind of grinning. And I kissed him on the forehead. I said, I'll be right back with your oatmeal. All right, little bug, all right. And by the time I got back with that oatmeal, he was back in that,
Comatose.
state. That comatose. He wasn't comatose, but he was like gone.
Right.
And then
there was no
lost
more
him.
communication.
Right. We no more communication. After that, we lost him 3 days later, and he didn't utter another word other than moans and groans.
Right.
I remember a funny story when he was in the facility before we brought him home, the hospice to bring him home or whatever. And I remember they called my mother and said, he keeps asking for love bugs, so we figured he wanted you. And she said, no, that ain't me, that's my daughter, call her. Like they literally thought he was asking for his wife because he kept asking for
his
love
wife.
bug.
And
She
that
said,
sounds.
nah, that ain't me, that's his daughter, call his daughter.
That ain't me.
Like he was like a
Call
little,
that other one.
he became like my child. Like when they would have him doing little therapy and stuff, And the nurse, she was so sweet at the facility, and she would call me on FaceTime, and she said, "Look, Mr. Brown, Love Bug on the phone. Love Bug, look!" And he lifted. I said, "You better go, boy.
I know, that's right. You better pull."
And it was like talking to my son. It was like my son. Because he was like a little kid, just so happy. And I'm like, I'm literally raising my father
He was
right
happy
now.
to make you happy.
Right.
Which is what I have found out. I'm in year 12 with my mom, and it is amazing. Just the other night when what I noticed was she smiled harder because I was smiling. She don't even know what the hell I was smiling and laughing about. But because I was smiling and laughing, she decided to return it.
Exactly.
So it does become this, in the role reversal, there becomes periods where I found there are periods where they dig in and they are so happy that we, the kid, looks happy or looks settled or has something to say or we look proud of him. Your dad's like, oh yeah, I'm making Love Bug proud.
Yeah.
And those small things is what I really, in my hat as being a family caregiver advocate, I stress so much to politicians and to lobbyists to say, hey, there are things that family caregivers can do that no hired help or trained medical person will ever be able to do. And y'all got to figure out how to take better care of us, because there are people now. You were able. The $11,000 came from somewhere.
It came from somewhere.
To take care of everything you need.
Because I sure ain't got it now. I wish to God I did. I don't know where it came from, Lord. But thank you, Jesus. It was
I know that's right.
All the tithes and offerings I gave. And
that's right.
Came back.
That's right. And it came when you needed it.
It did.
But
it did.
So often for family caregivers, they lose their job or they become underemployed, and then they're having to move in with family members.
I tried to get my parents to move in. I bought a home with an in-law suite just for the anticipation of mommy and daddy coming to live with me. And they refused.
Yeah. They said,
they
that's
both
not my
got
house.
their wishes. They both passed in their homes. They both got their wishes.
Congratulations.
Daddy passed in our...
From the bottom of my heart, congratulations.
Yep, they both passed in where they wanted to, and that was at home.
Mommy, that's major. So many families aren't able to give that wish.
Yeah.
Right?
I just thank God every day because, it's funny, I laugh all the time. I said, my daddy probably in heaven right now laughing that I finally listened to him, because he used to fuss at me and say, money burn a hole in your hand. You can't keep no money. You need to put something away for a rainy day. What's wrong with you? And because of that, I finally listened to him. I think that's where that 11,000 came from.
That's right.
That's where I was able to do the things, because they, this country is ridiculous with medication.
Yes.
They are ridiculous. Well, my father had a medication that cost $780 every month.
That's the one my mama's
That's
on.
crazy to me.
It is.
It's like they want us to die.
Fast.
Who can afford that?
Not many.
My mom had one for $1,100 a month. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me right now?
Right. And that's one pill. As if they were on
that was one thing
pill.
so she could breathe. That was one little pump. What do you call it, a breather or something?
Yeah, that inhaler thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, what the devil? I said, can we move to England?
Right.
Let's go to Canada.
That's right.
They
somewhere.
got, they got universal health care. This is
and
ridiculous.
They'll just, drive by and drop it off in the mailbox.
Seriously.
It is ridiculous.
But, it's so funny to me because, Daddy, I knew was happening, and I made such a peace with it, and I was so grateful because my father, like I said, my father and I had I was a daddy's girl. I was a daddy's girl, hands down. I think sometimes my mom was a little jealous of our relationship because she would make comments like, oh, if Love Bug cooking in honey, he gonna love it. I don't care. She can fry a piece of doo-doo and he love it. And I used to be like, because my dad loved my cooking. But I also had taken all of his mother's cookbooks. All of his aunts, all of them country women gave me their recipes, and I learned to perfect them for my daddy.
Well,
so I could make his mama's biscuits.
You did.
Okay, I could make his.
You
mama's
put the
biscuits.
work in.
You know what I'm saying? So whenever I would come home, I would sit there. Okay, what's the menu while I'm here, Poppy?
That's right.
I so like them pork chops. You do the pork chops. You gonna do the pork chops? I'm gonna do the pork chops, Daddy.
Do the pork chops. I need
you
them
gonna
pork
do that
chops.
gumbo? I'm gonna do that gumbo, Poppy.
I know that's
got
right.
you.
I know that's right.
I spoil him rotten. I did spoil my.
And
daddy.
why not?
You know what I'm saying? He got what he wanted.
And why wouldn't you spoil him? That's another thing I try to really encourage to family caregivers, because sometimes the medical profession will say, well, don't do that. You should make them be more independent. Listen. Fuck that, okay?
Yeah.
My mom has gone through enough, and if something that she needs, I can actually give her, she gonna have it.
My dad loved my chicken and dumplings. You think I ain't stop at the store on the way home and get them chicken and dumplings?
That's what he gonna
make
get
for him.
That's what he gonna
You know
get.
what I'm saying? He like, oh, they taste just like my mama's. I know, Daddy, because I got the recipe, whatever.
Exactly.
And see,
the
like
same
my
recipe.
mom, she was dealing with so much emotionally because of that traumatic experience that had happened, and I think threw her into that tailspin of her sickness. And she was processing that, but also being told that you ain't got much longer. And unfortunately, it came out in a different way with her.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The patience I had to have with Shirley.
Okay.
Because honey, that mouth, I know where I get my slick mouth from.
Okay.
But I wasn't ready.
Wasn't ready to have it thrown back on you.
Just in a way that I knew she was angry, she was hurting, she was scared. It taught me such a level of patience to not get invested in what was coming out of her mouth, but seeing her spirit. I had to look beyond. I had to go deaf and just look at her heart. That she was hurting, she was afraid. I remember when my daddy
Did you
passed.
get there? Let me just ask you this. Did you get to that point in the middle of it?
Yes.
In the middle of it?
Yes.
Was that prayer, meditation, the Holy Spirit just put it in your head?
Picking my battles.
Okay.
Picking my battles. And then shout out my mom's caregiver. Oh my God. This woman was absolutely amazing. Like she would call me, like my mom would go to the emergency room. She'd look, it's like it became a thing with her ER, okay, whatever. And I would be jumping on a plane, canceling shows, jumping on a plane, running home. And I'll never forget that one time, I'll never forget it. My mom called me, oh, the Lord's coming, child. I feel it, it's the time.
That's right.
And
Elizabeth,
I'm going to
help me.
cancel some shows and I'm going to hop on a plane. And her caregiver, her nurse, she calls me and she said, don't you go on that daggone plane.
What?
And I said, what you mean? She said, I'm going to send you something. 5 minutes after I'm on the phone, she sends me a video of my mama sitting up in the mind you, she's on the phone with me.
Right.
Oh, Lord, they're coming to get me. I can see the angels, Lord. She sent me a video of my mama in the room talking about, yeah, the daughter coming in. She coming to see me later. Yeah, she get on a plane right there. I'm like, for you was just on the phone with me. Like, you about to die. And she called me. And I loved her for that because, and that's why I still to this day, you know, I absolutely love this woman. I take care of her. I still send her Christmas cards and birthday cards, you know, because she was like, don't you get you on that plane? Because she knew how many times I had canceled shows.
Right.
She's faking. She's trying to get you home.
She's trying to get you home.
And then she would tell her, well, Farrah can't make it. Why? Well, she just, you know, and she would be the heavy for me sometimes.
That's beautiful.
The person that traumatized my mother, they would try to come see her and she would not answer the door. She said, no, we're not doing this with them today.
I know that's right.
We're not doing this with them today.
Shout out
and
those hard caregivers that become a part of the family.
She called me and said, you know, so-and-so came by, but I just didn't answer the door because your mama didn't eat today. I was like, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Because she just was such an amazing woman. Like I said, we consider her family. She had my back. You know, she was there because my mom passed in my arms. And she was there.
Whoa, hold on, Coco.
Yeah.
You can't. That's we need better transitions.
Okay.
Okay, you just went right from the funny into the in the arms. I don't even know if there was a pause. Was there a comma in that? I ain't hear. I ain't feel no comma. I guess
that's my way of processing it.
Well, that's fine. I'm gonna try to catch you.
This may sound crazy, but I always say.
All at home. Y'all at home. You said y'all.
We were home.
You were home.
My daddy passed in front of me. My daddy took his last breath in front of me. My mama took her last breath in front of me. My daddy, I had just gave him his morphine, and I had went in the guest room. This is real. And I had baby monitors in my mama's room and my daddy's room, just so I could hear them.
Right.
And I was in the guest room, and my son was in my old bedroom, and I had just gave my daddy his medication, kissed him on the forehead. You know, I knew he couldn't. You know, I knew he could hear me, and I said, "I'll be right next door, Poppy. You need me." I laid down. I was praying, and I was actually just thanking God that he had given me the ability to take care of them. I was just thanking him.
You better know it. Yes.
And as God is my witness, as I was laying there praying, I felt a weight on me. This is so real right now. I felt a weight on me.
Okay.
Like somebody laid on top of me. And I was like, okay. I said, God, okay. And then I heard my daddy say, oh. And I jumped up, cut the light on. Daddy looked at me, took that last breath. And I say to this day, I feel that was his spirit passing through me. That was him saying goodbye.
Yeah.
I feel that in my spirit.
I'm with you.
I believe that.
And I'm not just saying that because we sitting here talking.
I had to tell my mother her
that.
husband of 54 years was gone. Oh, I had to go in the room and wake my mother up and say, Poppy gone. What's crazy is my son was there for both of his grandparents passing, and he slept through everything. He slept through the hospice nurse coming to confirm Daddy was gone. He slept through the funeral home coming to get Daddy's body. Slept through it all. when my mom passed, she had just gotten out the hospital. She was having some issues, and they were trying to get her to go to hospice, but she didn't want to go. She refused. I ain't going no hospice. I said, Mommy, they're saying there's nothing more you can do. I don't care. I said, okay, whatever. We're going to let you have your moment. I'm going to give you, I'm going to honor your wishes.
That's right.
And I had just flew in. She had just gotten out the hospital. I was in LA filming. I was in LA filming 911, I believe. And they had, her caregiver had called me and said, I need you to get here. Your mom is in the hospital. I said, okay, as soon as I finish filming, I'll be there. Right. So I literally flew from LA, went to Atlanta, grabbed my son, flew to Virginia. I had been home. I got in that day about noonish. That night, me and my mom were going to watch Queen Sugar. And my mom was having some bowel issues.
Right.
And she kept going back and forth to the bathroom, and I was messing with her caregiver. What the devil you give my mama, whatever. And I remember I was on the phone with a friend of mine, making sure, because they called to make sure I got into Virginia. And I heard my mama say, Farrah. And I ran in the room, and she was under the bed, and she said, baby, I got to get to the bathroom. I said, Mama, she said, I ain't going to make it. I said, Ma, just do it right there.
That's right, just go.
We going to clean it up.
We can clean all that up.
And she was like, I got to go. And so we saw it coming out of her. Mm-hmm. But when we went to get her, like to say, okay, let's lift you up, we realized it was blood. My mother had an internal aneurysm. She had a rupture, and she bled out. Right in front of me. And I remember...
What in the heck?
And I remember, her caregiver, when we realized it was blood, she mouthed to me, call 911. And I called them, and I said, this is what's happening. The whole time, my mom is talking regular. She's like, oh,
she's
Lord.
Talking regular.
She's like, oh, Lord, y'all going to have to clean up all this crap, Lord. And she's not realizing that's
what is
blood
happening.
Shooting out of her. That's blood.
Right.
And I remember, just wiping her feet. She said, Farrah, don't let it get on the carpet. And I'm calling myself, and I'm seeing the blood.
But that's old school.
I can smell the blood.
But she's still concerned about
and she's
her
still
room.
thinking she's going number 2, not knowing this is what's happening.
That's right.
And then as I was cleaning her feet, she fell on me. And I yelled for her caregiver. I yelled for her nurse. And I got up and I lifted her off of me. And I was like, Mommy. And her eyes had rolled back, and she was foaming at the mouth, and she was mouthing something. And I said, Daddy's calling you, ain't he? I said, Daddy's calling you. And she was just mouthing, and I said, it's okay. Go be with Daddy. She went. And I remember they came into the ambulance and they were trying to resuscitate her. And I said, look, my mother has a DNR, which is do not resuscitate.
Right.
I said, hold on. I said, real talk, my mama has a DNR.
Right. And just as part of that, just for any, look, all parents in our community, anybody new listening, DNR, United States, Western part of the globe, DNR means don't help me stay alive. Like if the Lord just decided I ain't supposed to breathe, then leave me alone.
And I remember my neighbors, because we grew up in a great neighborhood, because all the neighbors were coming over because they saw the fire truck and the ambulance, the paramedics and everything, and they were coming over, and they took Mommy out, and I knew she was gone. I knew because I saw it.
Yeah.
I watched her. She was talking to somebody. I said, you talking to Daddy? Daddy calling you, ain't you? And she was just talking.
And as close as you were to your dad, and you were there when he transitioned,
but it's
amazing.
Me, my mama prepared me for that moment, because literally the day after my daddy's funeral, I remember me and my mom were sitting on her bed. My mother was as sick as she was, could still sit on a bed completely Indian style.
Are you serious?
As God is my witness. And I realized I sit like that. She did. I sit like, when I sit on my bed, I'm the same way. My mother was 77 years old with all her ailments and could sit perfect Indian style.
So y'all just got all of your hips and your knees are good. All right.
And so I remember we were sitting in the bed, and this was the day after my dad's funeral. And we were kind of just talking, and she said, baby. And I said, yeah, Mama. She said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here. And I'm like, Ma.
Like, don't start that.
And I'm like, Ma. And she's like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, because I don't know how to live without him. I don't know how to live without him. And 8 months later, she was gone. Go be with her baby. And you know what's crazy? When I got to the hospital, because I followed the ambulance and everything, and I got to the hospital, I knew she was gone. But when I got there, and I'm sitting there, and the lady came out to do intake forms. And then she said, wait a minute, are you here for Shirley Brown? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, did she have a DNR? I said, yes, ma'am. I knew then,
Right.
I said, yes, ma'am. So she said, okay, we'll be right back with you. They came and took me in the back room. That's when they told me my mommy was gone. And I had my brother on speakerphone. And he was actually hauling tail down from Maryland to get to Virginia because I had called him like, mommy's, this is...
Like, right, it's on the edge.
This is bad. Because he had just left. What's crazy, both times, he had just left my daddy. He had just left my mama. I said, so I guess it was meant for me.
Yeah.
Because he had
wanted
just
you
left
there.
like the day before. It was crazy.
I believe your parents wanted you there.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know nothing.
I believe it. It's like my mother waited for me.
Yeah.
It's like my daddy waited for me.
Yeah.
And my mommy waited for me to be there. And I remember I went in there to see her. They asked me, did I want to see her? And I said, yes. And I went in the room and I saw her. And as God is my witness, she had a smile on her face. She was still warm. And she was laying there.
With a smile on her face?
And she had the sweetest, most peaceful smile on her face. It was crazy. And I said, you with daddy, ain't you?
She's like, I'm good.
She back with her
it's like,
baby.
I hope
She
you
told
all right,
me.
because I'm good. She
Yeah.
said, I don't know how to live
And I
without
tell you,
him.
because I remember my dad, when he was transitioning, they, I don't know if they told you when you see that vein going
No,
a
I know
mile a
about the
minute.
vein.
Okay, so that's when they're getting ready to.
Really go.
And so the hospice nurse that day, before, the night my daddy died, that day, the hospice nurse came to check him out, and that vein was just, it was like this. And she said, that's a sign that the heart is overworking because the organs are shutting down.
Gotcha.
And she said it was very close.
Okay.
And I remember my dad was just moaning and, and I had given him morphine. And I remember I whispered in his ear, I said, you worried about Sweetie, ain't you? That's my mama. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to be all right.
Right.
Kenny going to be all right. Little man, my dad, my brother, little man. I said, he going to be all right. I said, well, you ain't got to fight, Daddy. It's okay. And as God is my witness, he stopped moaning. And he went to sleep.
You knew what to say.
And then
you were
hours,
so
he was
close to
gone.
him. You knew what to say
said,
to
"You worried."
ease his spirit.
I said, you worried. I said, you fighting. Because I don't know who he was talking to. But he was, we were like, Daddy, Poppy.
Whoever was calling him.
Mm-hmm. And so I told him, I said, you worried about Sweetie, ain't you? I said, now you know I got her. What you worried about?
He's like, all right then.
And it's literally like he calmed down.
He's like,
and even
all
the
right
hospice
then.
nurse was like, what did you do?
He's like,
did you give him some more morphine? I said, no, I
No.
just told him he could let go. I got this.
That's right. That's right.
So it's like, I thank God that he gave me that, because with the way my life was set up, sis, I wasn't supposed to be there.
No,
I
you weren't.
was constantly traveling,
You weren't
working,
supposed to be there.
filming. I was overseas. How I was there,
For those two
For those
slices of
two-
time.
that won't number God.
Okay?
And he-
With the
and I was-
$11,000 to slice the time.
I still don't know where that came
Well,
from. And I wasn't on
it's the
OnlyFans or nothing.
At least not under Coco Brown. I mean,
Right, you know what I'm saying? Okay. But it's crazy that, I looked at how lucky I was, blessed I was, that I was in a position to take care of my parents.
Yes.
Give them their wishes and be there. Like, I remember at both their funerals, I said, what an honor it has been to know that they were there when I took my first breath and I was there when they took their last. What an honor. What an honor. And everybody in the church, you could hear people go, because I meant that. They were there for me when I took my first breath. And I was there for them when they took their last.
That's it.
And I remember going home this past Mother's Day, and I was, a lot of my family is buried in the same cemetery in Hampton, Virginia, and I went by Michael's and pretty much wiped them out of all silk arrangements. And I was putting, arrangements
Like,
on
I
my
need
parents.
all of these.
And stop stealing my parents' arrangements. Y'all ain't slick. Because I know y'all still don't
Everybody
die.
in Hampton.
Yeah, Hampton Memorial Gardens.
Can
I put a camera on my parents' mausoleum?
Yes.
Because I got my parents the mausoleum where they're buried together.
Nice.
I didn't get them separate like
Right.
I got them a mausoleum. So
Yeah, 'cause they
daddy's
go
here
together.
and mommy's right on top, and they're in the same
They
mausoleum.
go together.
And I said, y'all stop stealing my parents because I know them. They ain't dying.
They can't die. They sell. Where
But
they go?
I was working in Richmond at the Funny Bone. I drove down to Hampton. I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go visit mommy and daddy. And I put flowers on theirs. And I said, well, let me go see everybody else. And I found my great-grandparents.
Really?
I didn't know they were buried out there.
Just roaming around.
Huh?
You just roaming
I didn't
around
know
in the
that.
cemetery.
I went to my grandmother's. I went to my grandmother and my grandfather's grave sites.
Yeah.
And then I looked over and I said, and
You ain't
literally
never noticed
had a
it.
corner. I never knew that my great grandparents were right there. Never knew. And then my uncle that died before I was born, my Uncle Bubby, was right there.
What?
And so next thing I know, I'm literally walking around the whole cemetery
So
with
family
a big
reunion
old
of
basket
spirits.
of flowers.
Yes.
And I'm putting flowers on my
I
cousin
know
Reggie,
that's
my
right.
Uncle Frank, my Aunt Alice, and I went back to Michael's twice.
You had to.
Because I wanted to get more flowers because I was finding more family members.
Right.
But I felt so like, I felt their spirits. I felt their energy. You know, I cried all the way going down there.
Yep.
I cried all the way going down there. And I came back just reminiscing about, you know, the parties at Uncle Frank's where he let me sip a little bit of his beer. You know,
don't we all need that
my
uncle?
grandmama,
that
you
uncle
know,
that let you sip a little
my
bit?
grandmama, you know, telling me, honey, you don't fry chicken or fish in nothing but a cast iron skillet. It ain't real if you don't, you know,
Well, that's true.
I just went back to Richmond and did my shows that night and just felt so connected to them. You know, people are like, how did you get over it? But you got to stand the honor.
Yes.
And then the blessing of it all that, you know, and trust me, I'm not rich, sis. I'm not over here balling. You know what I'm saying? I got 2 paid off cars that are, 2008 and 2015. Like, I just, my father I know is in heaven going, she finally got it and learned how to keep a dollar, save a dollar.
Right.
Because I'm taking care of 2 households now. Taking care of 2 households and 3 people.
That's
my
right.
mama, my daddy, and my son.
That's right.
So I had to learn. But,
and you figured it out quickly.
Right. But it's like, for real, just knowing that what gives me peace is that in no arrogant, cocky way whatsoever, I know I was a damn good daughter.
I know that's right.
I was a damn good daughter. You know what I'm saying?
I know that's
and
right.
can't nobody ever take that from me, man. Ever take that from me.
Period. Listen.
I gave them what they wanted.
My God.
And I still
Coco.
honor them. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, and they both chose to take that last breath in front of me.
Coco, at the end of every episode, I have a segment called The Snuggle Up. Basically, it's just if you got to tell any caregiver, a family caregiver, hey, if you just snuggle up, just scooch on up to this one thing, this one piece of advice, your journey as a caregiver will be a whole lot easier. And we're going to shake this to say we are now doing this snuggle up segment. So what you got?
I know it may be hard and tiring and frustrating.
Yes.
But just know, take it as a badge of honor that you can. Because there are people who throw their parents in nursing homes, convalescent homes, and never, ever go back.
Ever.
There are people who wipe their parents' bank account out and now they're somewhere stuck in some county, city facility being treated like crap.
That was my grandmother's best friend.
Because trust and believe, honey, and no disrespect, but most of them facilities, I wouldn't put a dog in.
They not right.
I wouldn't put a dog in.
That's right.
So, real talk, if you have the ability to care for the ones who cared for you, take that as a badge of honor, man.
Do it.
Put that chip on your shoulder,
I'm
baby.
with Coco. Do
I'm
it.
cocky with mine.
Do it.
I said, I know that my blessings are lined up.
What?
Because I went
A
above
gold
and
brick
beyond
road.
doing what I was expected
That's right.
to do.
That's
and
right.
and God gave me the ability to do so. So if you're walking around with a bunch of guilt, did you bite the hand that fed you?
What?
Or did you comfort it and carry it to the end?
Hello?
Real talk.
Did you seek?
Did
or
you-
you didn't?
I'm saying.
You
I'm
just
saying.
shutting people out? Yeah.
Trust and believe, honey. You know, and it's funny because that's why I still feel I'm connected to both of them because Shirley haunt me every day on when I'm going to get married. I don't want to get married.
Okay.
Madison Brown haunt me every day talking about he a little ugly little bug.
On that note, that is it. Man, we have had such a fantastic time with you today here on Parenting Up. You always got that good going on. It's fly, it's live, it's on the big screen, the small screen. I can find it in my hip pocket on my cell phone. Yeah. So let everyone know what's coming up for you.
Well, what's coming up? You guys can catch me right now on Lifetime on Call Me Now, The Rise and Fall of Miss Cleo.
Yes.
You guys can also check me on those wonderful reruns of 911. I'm constantly on there, as well as Never Have I Ever on Netflix. You guys can definitely check me on Single Moms Club that they play every weekend on BET. You guys can check me.
Yes, they do.
It's
see it.
every week. I also have another Lifetime movie coming out with Eva Marcel and Tyler Play called Buried Alive.
Nice.
That's coming out. And I'm about to actually go do a Christmas movie with Tia Mowry and Donna Briscoe.
yay.
Super excited. Called A Beauty Salon Christmas. And I get to play something I've always wanted to play. I get to play a rich auntie. I'm not even going to be acting.
What?
So,
Won't he do it?
and
Won't
you guys
he will?
can check me out as Cousin Coco on the Country Wayne skits, honey. Yeah, I'm a little bit of everywhere.
Those skits are hilarious.
Girl, them
Those
people
skits
are
are
diehard fans.
hilarious.
I didn't even knock on the stall while I was peeing, asking me when I was going to do something about so-and-so on a skit. And I'm like, can I pee? So, yeah.
And I don't write it. I'm just acting.
Y'all do know I don't write it, you know. But yeah, I just show
Yeah.
up and, do what I got to do. But yeah, and right now I'm finishing up. I'm really proud of this. I can't wait till it drops, but I'm taking my time. I'm writing a book called The Caregiver about how I learned.
Well, you got to come back for that.
I'll be back for that. God
got
willing, my
to
goal
come
is to
back
be
for
done
that.
with that December 1st.
Well, all right.
Be done, and
We'll
then
be
have
right
it,
here waiting on
launch
you.
in the first of the year. But just learning how to forgive the ones I take care of.
You are welcome back. We're going to have to have you back to talk even more about your parents, your journey, and then your time as a mother, because there's a lot of ups and downs with that too.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, girl. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Just snuggle up. Hey, y'all notice I ain't say a S because we had a lot going on in the studio, so I'm going to give you one big old snuggle up summary for my girl Coco Brown. You don't know what the hell somebody's going through. I know all the things that I saw Coco on, producing, on TV, in movies during the period where she was also caring for her parents. So, as they say, the grass is always greener. No, it ain't. You don't know what the hell somebody else is going through, so you just better take your lumps, whatever they are, and stick with them. Because she figured out a way to balance all of those things through her belief and her faith and her commitment to be there for her parents. That shit ain't easy.
What's up, y'all? I'm over here just mixing and scratching up stuff. And reminding y'all, Patreon is open. It is open and ready for you, and your mama too. We are loading up things, all things Zeddy, all things podcast, all things caregiving, behind the scenes, extra stuff. J Smiles Comedy is dropping with her own little collection within the J Smiles Studio Patreon very, very soon. It'll be less than a month. But you want to go on and get in there because there's exclusives that's kind of time sensitive to whoever is in there first. We've already had live broadcasts for people who are already in. And I'm going to be honest, because of, branding matters. So there's some stuff that I just can't say and do on the World Wide Web that I can do in the Patreon pantry. So if you want to see and know and hear and experience more of what's happening between my ears, come to the J Smile Studio, my Patreon pantry.